As she said, I'm Christina with Adepto Medical and Pioneer Biomedical. So Adepto Medical specializes in IV pumps and really any IV pumps. We have quite a few different models. And then Bio, as we call it, specializes in patient monitors and everything patient monitor. We have quite a few techs in-house. The partners that we typically find we best assist are going to be those that really find themselves in one of three needs. Right now, rentals, huge. Many of our partners are at capacity, so maybe they are full and they're needing extra beds, so they're needing extra IV pumps or patient monitors, or they're at capacity and their equipment needs serviced, so they need rentals so that they can rotate those off the floor. Second is going to be sales and purchasing. Of course, we sell and we purchase. We just this month, we're sending out quite a few pumps to a hospital that is changing an entire wing of their IV pumps, so they're upgrading those. So we purchased the old ones from them, and then we're sending them the new ones. And so it's a one-stop rotation shop. And then lastly is going to be service. We have the technicians on staff, and we overnight all of your equipment. We have a really nice online system, makes it easy for you to check that in, print out the shipping label, and send your equipment in. And our turnaround is 3 to 5 days on average. Of course, we are having some parts issues here and there, just as everybody is with COVID. So we hope that you stop by. We have a couple of booths, and of course, we'll answer any questions just like any of us will, any of these wonderful vendors that are here. And if you'd like a tour of our facility and you missed out, we're truly right down the road and we'll be happy to have you out. It's quite amazing how much equipment we have. I sometimes feel a little overwhelmed, but the technicians know what they're doing. I do not. So I hope you enjoy your speaker and enjoy the rest of your day, and hope to see you at the expo hall here in about an hour. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. I got to set up. I was late.
Okay, now without further ado, Julio Castro is going to give a presentation on how to use the latest technology to speed through your PMs with greater accuracy and consistency.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, put that on. Can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Great. Hopefully, you went to bed earlier than I did, so you're all wide awake, right? I work for Pronk Technologies. We're a manufacturer of biomedical test equipment. But part of what we like to really do is participate in meetings, supporting the local biomedical associations. We try to put together educational presentations that hopefully have some gold nuggets in there that would help you in your day in and day out activities, being out there servicing medical equipment. So you have a very challenging job. We all appreciate what you do, servicing and managing thousands of different types of medical devices out in the marketplace, which is not an easy task to manage to begin with, let alone all of the information that you have to know and maintain in order to be able to do the service and the repair at the highest level possible. So as we go through the presentation, definitely if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. Happy to answer them and make this a real interactive conversation. So what we're going to try to cover today. Lock up. Okay. Our first technical thing. We need a technician. Thank you. So we're going to talk about a number of things, challenges including preventative maintenance, collecting electronic test records or not. There's different philosophies behind information about the service that we're doing. What do we do with it? Should we collect it or not? Some of the benefits of what's referred to as automation, electronic records, your CMS system, advantages that they have, and how you can really utilize them to help improve the ability to perform the service needed, and streamlining, having the ability to streamline and capture information without needing to have a CMS system. So one of the biggest challenges in our industry, of course, is having to manage all these variety of devices, as I mentioned, and trying to manage the scheduling of these devices, unscheduled service. We got manufacturer product updates that have to be done. So there's a lot of service-related activities that require a lot of administrative information to be able to manage it all. And you have that in combination with our industries has a shortage of HTM professional biomeds. We don't have enough. You have a lot of the industry that's retiring and leaving the industry, and there's a lot of knowledge and practical information that kind of leaves with them. And so how can we really try to manage all of these activities and shortages that we have? And then what are the best practices that should be utilized when we're performing the service? Depending on the organization and the department and how things are set up, you have different processes and procedures, and so everything is kind of unique in that sense that there isn't one kind of standardized way of doing things possibly. And then, do I document the service? How do I document the service? Depending on the areas that you go to, you have different philosophies about how much should you document, how much should you collect and maintain. And then you have the compliance side of things. You have the hospital standards and the best practices for the hospitals, and how do you make sure that you have what you need for the hospital to be compliant when audits come into play, when investigations come into play, maybe a patient incident occurred. How do I know I have what I need to be able to protect the patient and the hospital? So you have all these kind of things that are big gaps that have to be managed. And one of the biggest things that I hear in our travels into different biomed shops across the country is the information transfer. You have a lot of new engineers coming into the marketplace. Maybe some have official biomedical engineering background and training. Some maybe come from a different industry and are trying to cross over into biomed. And so being able to create a good training program is really key. Really, the first thing I'm sure you all realize is trying to create a good mentorship program within the organization, trying to help that information gap that happens when you have new employees coming into play. You have establishing and maintaining standardized procedures. And one thing that you hear a lot about is, how do I go about doing service on this device? And you have different ways you can do this. You have on-the-job training, you have documentation, you have procedures, you have maybe something within your system that allows you to know how to do the service, but you have to create a standardized method of being able to do the service work that you need to do. And then I think one thing that has evolved a lot is the ability for tools to be more effective at helping you perform the service. And you're starting to see more and more on the test equipment side, trying to make advancements there, trying to help the biomedical community have a better, more precise method of not only knowing what service needs to be performed, but being able to capture the test results that are needed so that you can be sure that the service was done to the highest level. And so the important thing is to realize is now test equipment has evolved a lot in the last 20 years. A lot of companies out there have evolved enough, a lot in being able to create solutions that standardize your testing protocols. They have ability to have user definable test modes in your systems and be able to have pass-fail limits in there. And so these are tools that can really benefit us as we're trying to understand, well, how and what should I be testing with my device here that needs to be serviced. So you have a lot of organizations that are doing a lot of PM work, a lot of service work, and they're manually documenting things. Maybe they don't have an electronic system, or maybe they don't have organized formal procedures to be able to do this activity, but really need to try to consider and get away from manual completing of information and work orders. It's inefficient and it takes a lot of extra time. You need to look at the test equipment to see what flexibility does it give me to be able to perform my work, and how can I be better at doing that. Now, I've been to a lot of organizations that believe in capturing all of the test groups, all of the test points, all of the test data, and I've been to other organizations that believe, look, the technician does the service, they document that it was done, and that's all you capture. And there's different ways of thinking about that, but I think if you look at the way test equipment is evolving, and as well as the electronic systems that manage all of that, there's a lot more tools out there now than there used to be in the past. And so what you need to think about is the electronic records. What can I do with those? You have systems now that give you storage and transfer features that make it much easier for me to have this information. Can I have various ways to transfer this information to make it more efficient for me to capture it and store it where I need to have it? And then does the technology give me alternate methods to be able to have this information that's not utilized so that I can store and archive it maybe in different ways? So the tools are really evolving a lot. Now, I really think that it's important to consider the automation, the data collection, and its benefits, because it establishes a consistent method throughout the department and while it reduces your PM time. It's amazing how when you have especially newer technicians coming into the department, how the knowledge just isn't there as to how to go about doing the work. And so by having an electronic system, by having maybe the test equipment that has these sequences in there that help you know what to do, it gives you that sense of confidence that the technician is prepared to do the service, that they'll be able to do it in a consistent way, and nothing is overlooked, nothing is missed. And the main thing that is a big struggle is we have a lot of administrative duties as engineers in the medical field. You have a lot of administrative work that has to be done in documenting, did I do it, when did I do it, how did I do it, and then I have to get that information into my system possibly. And so you end up spending a lot of time trying to do all these administrative tasks instead of focusing on what we do best. So by having these tools, it lets the technicians do what they do best, which is do the actual service. Detailed records, I know, can be a double-edged sword. Some people feel like, well, this is a lot of information. What am I going to do with it? But it gives greater confidence to the department, to the end users, to anyone who's doing an audit. The service that was performed and has a greater level of confidence that the work was done. And so there's no ambiguity to what was done, how was it done. It's all captured there. And there's a lot of accreditations, of course, that take place in hospitals. You have to get accredited and get inspected to make sure things are being done in a compliant way. And so there's auditing agencies. I'm sure different facilities use different companies, but one of the auditing agencies, DMV, is being much more specific about wanting not only to review the service activity, maybe what equipment are you using, but they want to see the actual work order itself in terms of show me and can prove to me, not only did you say you did the PM, but what steps were involved with the PM? How do I know the technician actually did that work? And so it's kind of going beyond the normal, did you do the PM? Did you use the equipment within its calibration cycle? But show me the work and show me evidence that the work was actually done correctly. And so that is something that you see growing more and more. And so it's something that you have to look at within your system to decide, do I have the detailed information I need to not only be compliant, but to really be confident in the work that was done. If you ever get involved in patient investigations, I'm sure you know that those can be quite stressful, quite a lot of work involved. And the first thing you want to know is, well, what's been the history of this medical device? Well, what's been done to it over the years? Has the technician been doing the PMs? Has it had any failures? Has anything been drifting close to the edge of the tolerance? And having detailed history like this can really be a big benefit to get to the root cause, to find out what happened with this device when it was connected to the patient. So these are good reasons to consider having more detailed and comprehensive electronic records. And so this is something that we hear a lot from folks in our industry as a manufacturer. What can you do to help us try to really reduce that administrative time, bridge the gaps on the knowledge that we need to have all of our technicians have and the procedures that they need to have to do this? And so us and a lot of other test equipment companies have been focusing on this to develop new tools that will help really improve this. The test equipment, as I mentioned, has really come a long ways in improving things. A lot of the test equipment manufacturers are building in more user definable methods to run a test from A to B, definable by the type of medical device that's being serviced, so that it allows you to have a tool here in front of you that is a guide. It's not intended to replace the technician. You always need the expertise of the technician, but it's just there as a reference point to know, look, on this medical device, you should follow these particular test points, make sure it's within these test limits, and they're really helpful tools to be able to utilize. CMS systems are also trying to advance and improve their ability to give you more information. If you have a CMS system, they have more and more tools in there, not only be able to create procedures, but also to be able to access service manuals and information that is about that medical device and maybe how do I go about servicing it. So it's got a library of information that's available. You have to mine through it. I realize it's not sometimes the easiest thing to get through, but they're trying to really improve the ability for you to have more information about what to do when you're doing the service.
Would you clarify CMS for their audience?
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm using a lot of acronyms, and I know sometimes these acronyms are like talking government talk. Yeah.
We do it frequently.
And so it just
We've been doing this for 40 years.
yeah, it's like a language that you just gotta learn. So I apologize. It's a computerized management, what's the other end?
Medical management system or something.
Yeah, medical management system, yeah. I only know, I only say CMS, I always remember it as that. So what it is, it's a database that is used to be able to know what inventory is in a facility in terms of what medical devices. It allows you to create what they refer to as work orders for a request to do service on a particular device. So it's a way to manage equipment, a way to manage all the activities within a service department, from billing to parts used to documenting work to looking up information as a reference. And so it's a way, it's a database to be able to use for biomedical engineers to manage all of their activities. Does that kind of sum it up?
Yeah.
So the one missing piece that we hear a lot about is that there isn't a lot of ways for what I do as an engineer, as a technician, in terms of the work that I'm doing, and to connect that with my database where I'm trying to archive and store all this information. There's not always been a seamless bridge there. And so that's a lot of things, that leaves a lot of things in the engineer's hands that have to manage and document and transfer, and how do I do all this? But that's been changing over the years. And so we, as a test equipment company, are trying to help contribute to the HTM community in this way, in this regard, by creating a wireless platform that will give the technician the ability from a smart device, a tablet, to be able to have an application that allows you to go up to that medical device and scan its ID, its barcode ID, or maybe enter in the manufacturer's serial number of that device, and then to be able to open up a protocol that either is driven from what you have in your system, in your CMS system, or maybe if you don't have a CMS system, that give you the flexibility on board to be able to create your own testing protocols, maybe for defibrillators, for monitors, for ESUs, and to have them available with you as you want to go do that service. And so you're able to run the protocol, and it will have all the information available as to what needs to be done. And then as you're working, without having to take any extra steps, the data is being collected and the report is being generated. So it's designed to try to be a tool, an aid, a complement to the technician, another toolbar, another tool, another screwdriver, so to speak, to help you know and be able to perform that service as you need to. And so this is all tied to what we call biomedical test equipment, which are a variety of different pieces that are used for different functions. You have things that are designed to be able to do electrical safety testing, to make sure that medical device is not going to shock or injure a person or a patient. You have other specialized tools, infusion pump analyzers, simulators, that are other tools that you need to be able to use to be able to service medical devices. And so you have a platform of products here that are intended to be tied to the procedures and to the work that needs to be done with that medical device in a wireless way. And so what we're trying to do is create a solution to bridge that informational gap. And so you have the flexibility, as I mentioned, to be able to create your own protocols, even with test limits in there, so you know by medical device, I'm supposed to test this, I expect to have this kind of result. It should be within a certain range, and then it will automatically pass or fail that. So one of the biggest challenges is you have hundreds of different medical devices. You could have even the same type of medical device, make it a patient monitor, let's say, but there's 5, 7, 8 brands out there. Maybe your facility has more than one brand. Well, each manufacturer has their own set of requirements as to what you're supposed to test and what are the limits. And so how do I remember all this? Do I need to go pull up the service manuals to do all this as I'm servicing the device? And so you're trying to take all this information that's in the manual and make it kind of a complement that's always there available to you. And you have the flexibility to design it the way you need to. You have the ability to do basic test protocols, or their CMS systems now have more flexibility in how you create procedures within the CMS that let you make procedures detailed at the step-by-step level and then you can actually view them on you can view your own procedure and follow it and have it linked to the test equipment to run those tests, collect the data, and manage your reports that way. There's even more advancements with CMS systems now where you can actually now control the test equipment right from the CMS. So generally speaking, test equipment is kind of a separate kind of a tool, never to be connected to a CMS system. And now CMS systems are advancing to the point where right from their own system, you can control it, tell the test equipment what to do, and live the data gets populated back into the work order. So it's there to try to really bridge the gap of moving and collecting information without creating a lot of extra work for technicians. We've been in a lot of biomed shops, and they tell me that Mondays or Fridays are admin days, and the technician is there, and they're just in there closing out their work orders, documenting their PMs, and it's a lot of lost time where we can be out there servicing equipment. So it's a really big gap that is out there in trying to have information flow in a seamless and easy way. So the idea is to have these wireless products and to have your smart device, your tablet, communicate to it via Bluetooth in effect. And with the latest Bluetooth technologies that are out there, you're able to communicate to multiple devices without the risk of having any loss of data. For those of you who've been around for a little while, you probably remember the original Bluetooth days, and you would connect to something and then inevitably you'd lose information. It would drop out. I got to reconnect and I got to reconnect. And the minute you connect device number 2, and device number 1 would stop working. It was really not very reliable, but this low energy Bluetooth is quite fantastic. It allows you to have 6, 7 devices communicating via Bluetooth at the same identical time without the risk of any loss of data. So it really has come a long way. So you're going to have control from your device, and you're going to talk to the test equipment and tell it what to do based on what you designed your protocols to be, and the equipment will do those tests and then feed those results wirelessly back to your device and start collecting the data without having to write anything down. So the concept is to try to look at test equipment in a slightly different way now and try to utilize the information that's available, collect it, so that you can feel confident in the work that was done. So you have the ability to customize the information that you want to have on your reports in terms of just basic information about where you're at, who did the testing. You have now the ability to have information about the test equipment that just comes across. I don't have to document any of this. The test equipment will communicate and tell the user its demographics. Here's my model number, here's my serial number, here's when I was last calibrated, so that it is part of the report, which is an important step in the compliance side to make sure you have information about what did I actually use to do the service. Because that's one of the big things that gets audited is how do I know what you used, and that what you used in terms of the test equipment was within its proper maintenance and calibration cycles. And then of course you have all the test information results. So this all kind of happens seamlessly. Test equipment now is more advanced, so you can feed this information back over and create a report without having to document or write anything down, as I mentioned. And of course, the application that we have stores up to 1,000 records you can have on board, and then you can move that data across. So one of the things that is available is we mentioned about these electronic procedures. And these electronic procedures are fed from a lot of CMS systems out there have this now. Let's see. Must be hitting the wrong side, yeah. And you can actually create procedures. You can export them electronically out of the system, and then you can have them imported into an application like this, and you can see and run your own procedure. So these are for facilities that want to make really concise, precise, detailed procedures. And it can be really helpful if a technician only touches a piece of equipment maybe once a year, twice a year. How do I know exactly what to do? And so having a CMS system that allows you to create these detailed procedures and export them so that you can actually run them as you're doing your work gives you a good guide to know what to test, what are my test points, what are the other things I need to do. If there's test equipment involved, it will communicate to the test equipment and tell it to execute those tests. So these electronic procedures, these checklists as they're referred to, can be a great tool if you have a CMS system in it that does support them, allows you to create them. And now you can actually export them and have it in right there with your technicians so they know exactly what work needs to be done. So it's come a long ways. And for our application, what we're doing is we're making it so that you can talk to a wide variety of devices, but it's not going to be exclusive to our brand. It's designed to be a platform that will support other brands of equipment because other brands also have more information that's available. So the platform we're designing is something that's going to be kind of an open platform with strategic partners that make equipment that maybe we don't make, but that are popular in the marketplace, so that now you can have all this equipment be controlled from the application. You can tell it what to do and have the information come back. So it's not intended to be kind of specific to just one product, one type, one brand, I should say. Because we need to kind of think beyond our secular rules of brand A versus brand B, CMS system A versus B, and they're never to be interconnected. And we need to help the community kind of really connect all these things together without having kind of walls to be able to have all this information go to one place. So I was mentioning earlier that you have CMS systems that allow you to communicate directly to it. Now here's an example of one system out there where I don't have to work, I don't have to have a third application here. I can just go to that CMS system. This is an example of one. They have the procedures in there. They could have you execute those procedures. You can have functionality in here on what to do, and even there's information here about how to access the test equipment. So right from my panel within my CMS, I can access whatever equipment I have connected to it, tell it to execute the test that I want, and here's some user-definable tests you can select from. And so the technician is working from their own CMS system, looking at their own work order, and from there, it's going to tell the test equipment A, B, C, or whichever you have connected to go do those tests. And so electrical safety is a real common test that is done virtually in all medical devices, making sure electrically it is safe to put on patients. And so that's a real common thing that's done. And so the application will tell the test equipment to do it. And you kind of see here in the window here, it's doing the testing. It does the test. It collects the data, and live, it goes right back to the CMS system and places the information right in your work order itself. So there's no transferring of information manually. There's no manual reports. There's no PDFs I have to go and attach to my work order. You're just working right from the system itself and having data flow live back and forth. And so we really think that the advancements that are being made and the collaboration between test equipment companies and your electronic databases are really coming a long way to hopefully make things much more efficient for you. And the nice thing about these new types of technologies is that one of the biggest complaints about integration with CMS systems is that there's cost, there's customization, and it's time and it's money, and it's nothing that comes as a standard package. But these new methods of being able to communicate really make the customization a lot less expensive, because you don't have to worry about putting all the details in your procedures and work orders. You just tell the test equipment execute a series of tests, and then they just go do it and bring it back. And so there's a lot of companies out there who are now kind of getting on this concept of transferring information more electronically and more seamlessly. And so here's just another example of a different CMS company, and they're going even further and giving you more flexibility. So you have two concepts. You have a centrally controlled procedure, and you do the procedure, you can't modify it one at all, or you give control to the technician and you let them decide what tests they want to run. They can pick from a library of tests that maybe are in there. These are customer type names. Or you can give them control to decide, well, what test points do I want to test? And as a technician, you have the flexibility and freedom to go ahead and dictate, I'm going to test parameter A, I'm going to test this test point. You can change those test points if you wanted to. So this is giving the technician more control to do what that technician has been trained to do, give the flexibility to make changes as you need to and not be so rigid. And then it's the same concept. They would go out and tell the test equipment, go do the tests and bring back all that information. So there's definitely different philosophies, and you don't really have a solution that fits all organizations. And so you have to determine what works best for you, how formal do you want to be in your procedures and the details that have to be done for the testing, or what flexibility do you want to leave with the technicians to be able to do the work. And so here you can just control what you need to do. You can enter in your results. and then have that information funnel back. So what we're really excited about in the industry is I think we're starting to introduce more tools that are more customizable, easier to use, so that you can have your information in your system and know exactly what needs to be done. Trying to remove the guesswork and all the legwork you do to manually go through these things. So once the tests have been executed, you can see here the data up to slide is populated back into this work order here. And I can just close out this work order and go on to the next one. So it's giving you the ability to know what item's supposed to service by device, know how I'm supposed to service it. If I have the flexibility, define my test, go do them, and it just populates it right then and there live. So it's designed to really give you advancements in control and eliminate the manual labor in trying to document your work that you need to do for a PM. Any questions so far? So other things that are just as critical, and it's amazing how much time is involved in trying to manage this, is there's something that has to be done on all medical devices, of course, and that's attach a PM sticker. You have to attach a label to it and say, hey, this device was serviced, here's the date it was serviced, and a lot of people spend a lot of time managing that. And so you have now more wireless technologies that are available. You have commercially available printers now that you can communicate via Bluetooth as well to the app, and you can actually design and print a PM sticker based on that medical device you just serviced. So if you just serviced medical device A and you want to have that information on your PM sticker, well, just design your PM sticker the way you need to and have that information on that PM sticker, and then it will print out that PM sticker you can attach to that medical device. So I've been to a lot of sites and they buy rolls of PM stickers and the technicians filling them out by hand, or you're having to have pre-labeled, pre-made stickers. And so it's a lot of administrative work to manage all that. So being able to have a commercially available Bluetooth printer communicates to the app. You can design what you want to be on that PM sticker, what information do I want to have on there. It's a laminated label. You got to fix it right on there, and you're done with that last step in the PM. So the beauty of having applications like this is that you can integrate and you can add more features to it pretty easily. And so it's important to collaborate with your CMS companies, your test equipment companies, to decide what more information can be provided to help you do that work as seamlessly as possible. So there are CMS systems out there. Accruent has the Metamizer, Q2, you have Wells of the world. All those systems have different methods of moving information. And that's one of the challenges we have on our biomedical engineering side, the HTM side, is that there's no standard communications protocol of information. Not like medical devices, right? You have medical devices, you have a common standard, easy to move information, easier. But in our industry, there's not. And so you have to consider and look at the applications that you're going to utilize and make sure they have different methodologies to move information. And so we're trying to do that, and test equipment companies are trying to advance that in supporting electronic checklists in various formats. You have to have flexibility in what integration capabilities do you have. You have to be flexible in those methods. You need to work with your test equipment companies when you're considering buying that test equipment. Hey, what methods do I have to connect to my CMS system? Because I know that will help streamline my work. And so you want to be able to support different methodologies of transferring information back and forth. There's a lot of legacy systems out there. Maybe they don't have an easy integration way. And so there's always manual ways, the traditional ways of generating PDFs, maybe kind of importing what's called a flat file back into your work orders to be able to close them out. But it's something to really kind of rethink about how should I manage information, because the tools are advancing quite quickly to be able to make this easier for you. We even have capabilities to be able to just share information. Maybe something you don't have any integration capabilities to your system. Maybe you don't have a CMS system, and so you want to be able to at least have an easy way to archive information. So those are available to you too. So it's good to really relook at your test equipment, relook at your CMS systems, and see how can I really connect these things better than I have in the past, because the tools are advancing quite quickly. Of course, you can do the old school share things via an email. You have ability to transfer with a flash drive if you need to. And so there's a variety of ways to move information between point A and point B. And so Definitely, we want to continue to partner with the HTM community to build more tools like this. The advantages of applications, as I said, is because you have the ability to continuously add more features. It's not a fixed software package like you have with like enterprise systems, where you buy a piece of software, you download it, and it is what it is. The test equipment companies are now moving more towards applications, apps that we all love and hate. And so the nice thing about using apps is you have more flexibility to add more features, and those features become available to all users. You don't have to buy into each package, each renewal license to get the next set of features. So it's a good platform to be able to add on to. We're working on a Windows and Android version as well. The application right now is released for iOS, but we're really wanting to get feedback from the HTM community on what more can be done to kind of partner with you and other test equipment companies to try to help answer this need that we have in the marketplace to collect and connect information. So we have partnered with a couple of companies already to add more devices to this platform. And so the goal being that it will have every type of test equipment device that can be connected to our application so that you can control and create it. So we're working on ESU, we're working on incubator tester, defib tester, not with just one brand, with multiple brands, trying to really connect these dots. So as you see other needs, or you think that there's something else that should be considered, definitely talk to your test equipment companies, talk to your CMS. Change happens from the user back. And so as you are out there and you express your challenges that you have, I think you'll find a lot of cooperation in the marketplace between the CMS systems and the test equipment companies to try to really connect these things together. Because we appreciate everything you do, and it's not an easy task, and we need to try to help make that a little bit easier for you. And so what should we do next? And that's what question you should be asking everyone of your vendors that you work with, from your calibration companies, anyone that helps support you in your activities. Ask them what more can they do to help solve these problems, because we have to help you manage all this variety of testing medical devices and help the next generation biomeds come up to speed and be proficient in what they do. So we're anxious to continue this discussion and bridge the gap as best we can to help you to have more tools in your tool bag.